Help me reach 500 subscribers at the party. He thought sending my husband a photo of our kiss would be a joke. That was the moment everything changed, though no one noticed it then, not even me. Music was loud, lights were low, and everyone was pretending happiness was effortless. I had arrived smiling, hand resting lightly on my husband's arm, believing we were solid, believing nothing could touch us. The night felt harmless, like any other celebration where people drank too much and forgot themselves for a few hours. I remember thinking it would end quietly, with laughter and a headache the next morning. The man was someone we both knew. Not a stranger, not a random mistake. He was familiar enough to feel safe, the kind of person you don't guard yourself against. He leaned close while we were talking, his voice warm, his confidence careless. It happened fast and slow at the same time. A laugh, a comment, a moment where my judgment loosened. When his lips brushed mine, it felt unreal, like something happening to someone else. I pulled back immediately, heart racing, scanning the room, afraid someone had seen. I told myself it meant nothing because it ended quickly. I told myself mistakes only mattered if they continued. I didn't know he had already turned it into something else. I didn't see him angle his phone, didn't hear the shudder over the music. He looked amused, satisfied, like he had just won something small and stupid. I went back to my husband, trying to act normal, forcing my smile to stay in place. My husband was laughing with friends, relaxed, unaware, trusting. That trust sat between us like a fragile object, and I didn't even realize it was cracking. The photo arrived on his phone before the night was over. I didn't hear the notification, but I felt the shift. My husband grew quiet, his laughter fading without drama. He didn't confront me. He didn't look at me differently right away. He simply excused himself, said he needed air, and stepped outside. I watched him go, confusion mixing with a sudden, heavy dread. Part of me knew. Another part still hoped it was nothing. When he came back, his face was calm in a way that frightened me more than anger ever could. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't ask questions. He said we were leaving. His hand didn't reach for mine as we walked out. The drive home was silent, the kind of silence that presses against your ears. I wanted to explain, to minimize, to say it was a joke, that it meant nothing. Every sentence I rehearsed sounded weak before it left my mouth. At home, he placed his phone on the table and slid it toward me. The screen showed the photo. My breath caught, shame flooding in, hot and immediate. Seeing it frozen like that stripped away every excuse I had built. I waited for him to yell, to accuse, to demand answers. Instead, he asked one question, quiet and precise. He asked if I respected him. Not if I loved him. Not if I was sorry. Just that. I tried to speak, but the words tangled. I said it was a mistake, that I didn't think, that it wasn't planned. He listened without interrupting, his expression unreadable. When I finished, he nodded once, like someone confirming information they already suspected. He told me the man had sent the photo directly, adding a message that implied it was all a joke, something funny to share. My husband said the joke wasn't funny. He said trust wasn't a punchline. What shocked me most was what he didn't do. He didn't storm out that night. He didn't throw accusations back at me. He went to bed, leaving space between us that felt wider than any argument. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every second, realizing how small the moment had felt compared to how large its consequences were becoming. In the dark, I understood that control had shifted and I no longer had it. The next morning he acted normal. Too normal. He made coffee, asked about my day, spoke politely. That calm felt deliberate, almost clinical. It was then I realized he was thinking, measuring, deciding. I wanted him to explode because anger would have meant he was still reacting. His calm told me he was planning his response. Every ordinary gesture carried weight, and I felt exposed in a way I never had before. Later that day he told me we needed to talk, not to argue but to be clear. He said the photo wasn't the worst part. The worst part was knowing someone felt comfortable enough to disrespect our marriage and assume my husband would laugh along. He said that kind of disrespect doesn't appear out of nowhere. It grows where boundaries are weak. His words were steady, not cruel, but they landed harder than shouting ever could. I tried again to defend myself, softer this time, but he stopped me. He said explanations didn't rebuild trust, actions did. He said he would decide what those actions needed to be, not me. Hearing that stripped me of the illusion that I could fix this quickly. I saw then that the night hadn't ended when the party did. It had followed us home, settling into our lives, changing the shape of everything we thought was secure. By evening, the man from the party texted me, laughing, asking if there was trouble, as if this were all harmless. I showed the message to my husband without being asked. He read it, then told me to block the number. His voice held no anger, only finality. That was when I understood the joke had ended for everyone except the person who made it, and that understanding came too late to undo what had already begun. I didn't know then that this was only the beginning, not the end, of consequences for all involved.